Hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girl Cranky, Gay Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're stellar. And I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. That is the story of my life. Let me just put some caveats out there. Kindly look out for my captions. They're not always accurate. They sometimes use a small g for God. They are sometimes, therefore, as a result, very irreverent. That's on me. They are sometimes misspelled, the wrong word altogether, stuff like that. Like I said, that is not me. I would much rather not have to go out like that. Well, it's like quite freezing. Anywho, anyhow, and then secondly, I'm very potentially wearing application makeup. If I am, you'll know. If I'm not, you'll also know, because it's going to be bouncing off and on my face. That's just the nature of the app, okay? And then thirdly, I've got a segment. I just want to get it out the way. Basically an empathy segment. I'm pinching my cheeks to bring about a blush, to display that when you prick me, I bleed. When you hurt me, I get hurt, blah blah, all that jazz. I just want to move it on right ahead like a fast moving consumer good. That's what's good. Like, let's just let that out the way. Yes, what? Boom. Yeah, the intention is to achieve a blush, like that whole situation. I don't know if it's working. If it is, great. If it's not, tomorrow's another day. Let's just move on. Okay, yeah, it's an empathy segment to show you that I've got blood in my body. Like, just do better by me. But anyway, nobody really does, so it's okay. Like, right now as I'm speaking to you guys, I just had a vision of South Africa ending up like Turkey shortly after Russia went to war against the Ukraine. How it is that they started to struggle so much with food, like they became a problem with their economy. Yeah, in other words, judged by collateral damage. That's what's good. And then months later, well, we all know just at what extreme enmity Turkey is at with Israel. So such countries as those in like Turkey endured that because God was judging it. And then there was like the whole horrible earthquake that happened there that massacred all of those people. That tragedy, you will remember. Yet more judgments on a country that is at odds with God, but that people don't think that God is judging it because people don't quite understand just how strongly God feels about the way that you treat Israel and the way that you treat Christians in your ecosystem. And South Africa, the Lord has shown me, is starting to become similar to Turkey, struggling with food because of collateral damage that's going to happen as a result of another country like Russia, for instance, going to war, and also because of its anti-Semitism. This country is just under a severity of judgment, and I can't say that enough, but y'all will just have to see as time progresses. Anyway, let me just introduce my wig. What's up? Y'all know that this is a wig. I'm wearing it because I've got a treatment underneath. Listen to that plastic bag. Yeah, moisturizing my hair. I've reduced the moisturization to once every fortnight because it itches less. It just works out for me. So I'm moisturizing and I put a plastic bag around my head for it to like do its thing overnight. So that's why I'm wearing a wig, but I don't really have to let you guys know that, but I insist because I prefer to have my natural look. Okay, so today's the 10th of June 2024 for those of you who are curious, but it's actually really the 9th because I'm hopping over into the next day because y'all know that that's just how I roll, right? It's the wee hours of the morning. It's a Sunday. I'm supposed to be leisurely, and largely I am, but anyway, whatever. It is what it is. I didn't do shorts today, so that is leisurely. Anyway, whatever. Let's just get straight into the message, guys. Today has been a sad day for me, a heartbroken day because of the dreams that I got. I told you guys that I'm always just being bombarded by a lot of demonic attack, and there's like attempts at my life, so we're just going to enter into that. There is presently a severity of underestimation of my person as a result of the way that I am treated by my family, or not treated by my family. Their omission to act, their comprehensive negligence of me, their disregard for my pain and my sorrow has put me in some kind of shoddy position that has caused me to get harassed, lambasted, looked at by unseemly, dastardly men that imagine that I'm up for grabs and can get taken up, okay? Largely the biggest reason why I'm getting so horribly treated by men, and also why it is that I'm being so coerced by them, and also so trashily treated by women too, is because of their observation of my what would be the tantamount of lack of family. That has not always been my life. This here is something that happened when and only when I became a Christian. So the phenomenon of being treated this strangely as a result of a lack of family is one that I had to learn pretty much late in life. I didn't grow up like Cinderella, but I am like now a Cinderella, but one that has absolutely zero interest in the Prince Charming rescuing me because I'm trying to get my life back together by myself. But I did let you guys know that this is going to result, I believe, in the rapture So that'd be the Prince Charming Jesus, more than like a man, a husband, or even a future for me. But I did also let you guys know that I vacillate between two extremes. I pendulum between them, where it is that I sometimes believe I enter into seasons where I believe that the rapture is happening like soon, and then after like a season like that, I then pendulum back, like a swing, I vacillate to my future is coming, my this year, like, because I don't really know what to look at, because there are such conflicting events in the world that don't really confirm one or the other. A future could happen, but also at the same time the rapture could happen. So right now I'm in a season where I'm basically just kind of frankly believing that the rapture must happen, because what in the world is going on. But I'm going to talk to that. First, I want to give you guys a story, because y'all know I'm big on storytelling, right? Of somebody that was similar to me in this state, in this situation. Two women, actually, that I knew back in the day that were in my shoes. And I was not in... at that stage, I was coming from an ignorant vantage point. This is not the first time that my mom has been negligent of me until the world around took me for granted. But the first time around, it lasted so briefly. It lasted just 6 months. So I didn't really get to feel it, even though I did feel it. I was heavily suicidal during that time. But this year has lasted like 10 years. And I just want to help you understand that the Lord has given me a lot to run with. He has given me prototypes, mock-ups, examples, essentially, to look at in this world as to what happens when, as a person, you don't make your own unique decision within yourself to protect yourself from predators. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is teeming at the folds with predatory human beings. We live in a world that is teeming at the folds with exploitative people. And when you are in a position to be exploited, more so ought you put a guard up. And I have one up because of Jesus, first and foremost, and secondly because I have made observations of what happens to women who allow themselves to be preyed upon by men. It's a shocking sight. Anyway, whatever. So let's just get straight into the matter right now, right? Thank God he's given me wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One gives understanding. So hallelujah, okay? Thank God I got born again at the time that I got born again. If I did not get saved, I would highly unlikely have gone through what I went through. What it is that I went through is causally connected. It is positively correlated to my redemption. So I would never have been abandoned by family if I didn't get saved. This here is because, as a result of my salvation. But I would not exchange it for anything. I don't have regrets of my coming to the faith. I've found the pearl of great price. I'm going to heaven. I'm redeemed. There's nothing that compares to that. So even if I would never have been this badly persecuted by my family if I didn't get born again, bottom line is I never would have gone to heaven, which I inevitably will, if I did not go through those waters, those muddy, murky waters. As I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of darkness, I am fearing no evil, for he is with me. Amen. Okay, let's get into story number 1. Okay, there is this like absolutely flaming, heart-scorching beauty of a woman that I met through my cousin. She used to work in the same store as my cousin when she was okay, my cousin has had quite an irresponsible life. But where she was, and she ended up working that particular job because of her irresponsibility. She had to downgrade, and she ended up being the manager of some store, like some retail store, like a clothing store. And in this clothing store, she had casuals. She had employees, people, women who were, and men, I guess, boys, women. They were men. They were already adults at that stage, that were, some of them were working there permanently as like that was their job, that was their 9 to 5, but there were others that were students at universities. There were students at universities or at colleges and what have you, because that's just the nature of retail jobs. They get filled those vacancies by kids. I've worked also in retail myself when I was studying at Wits. Okay, cool. Beans and bananas, this chick used to be one of her employees, okay? And like, wow. A lot of times in these jobs, these retail jobs, they hire you because of how you look. You know, it was a clothing store. It was a fashion brand that was gunning for a certain look. And so in order to market its brand, they had to recruit certain looking kinds of young people, right? Okay, let me give you an example. I used to work for Guess by Margiano in Santon. I was looking for a job, a casual job where I would earn whatever, 12 Rand 50 an hour. on the weekends just to make an extra buck type thing. And I went to Sandton and decided that I was going to go to stores that I want to work at. And I started first at, was it Joe Bucket or Jenny Button, or both? I think I've worked at both Joe Bucket and Jenny Button, right? And also at Guess in Sandton, right? Okay, and yes, and very short, like I left Joe Bucket or Jenny Button for Guess because I just preferred Guess. Anyway, whatever. So when I walked in to those stores to ask for a job, I remember at Joe Bucket or at, okay, Jenny Button, one of those two, man, it was probably like both. I think I might have actually worked at both. All right, I remember this sophisticated, like, older white woman. She looked like she could have been like maybe 30, right? 30 or 35. And she, I think, was just like either, like, I don't know, like she, like brand manager or something when she worked there. She scanned me up and down and she literally told me to twirl in front of her. Like she said, spin, like turn. Like I walked in with my CV and I was like, are there open vacancies here? And she, like, it was this beautiful white woman, and she looked at me and then she scanned me up and down like that and then told me to spin around on the spot. And then she was like, when can you start? I then was able to start the next day. All right. And that's when I went, but then I didn't last. I was there like, I think 3 days, and then I just quit because I wanted to work rather at Guess. And the same thing happened. I went to Guess on the same day, right? And because I was looking for jobs, I was like, at Jenny Button, they were like, when can you start? And the woman was like, come the next day, type establishment thing. But I was not done. I was like, I want to expand my horizons. I want to get as many opportunities as possible. So I continued to walk throughout Sandton, and I walked into Guess, and there I found the manager was there, and I walked in, and I was wearing heels that day, some blue heels, okay, because I had to look a particular way, type establishment thing. And when I walked into Guess, are there open vacancies? And yet again, the guy scanned me upside down and was like, when can you start? So essentially what I'm trying to help you understand is that when you work in that type of environment, you gotta look a certain way. Then in that way, they will let you work. Guess was a fashion brand for, they were targeting like 18, like they were targeting young people, you know. It was, yeah, they were targeting a very vibrant young demographic. So too were they targeting sophisticated looking, beautiful young women at Jenny Button and at Joe Bucket. So they wanted women working there, girls working there that could represent the brand, and when they were in the clothing of those stores, therefore also sell it, you know what I mean, to the brand type of establishment thing. You get my point? Yeah. So I got hired at both places, ended up sticking around at Guess because of the way that I looked. Yeah. And this chick, these women, like the girls that, if anything, both of the women that I'm about to speak about right now, the women that my cousin would recruit, or the managing team, the hiring team would recruit in the store, were recruited on the same tip. Like, you know how that white lady scanned me up and down and told me to twirl on the spot? That's how my cousin would also hire her recruits. Stand on the spot and twirl. You have to represent the brand, you know? You have to represent the brand type establishment thing. So long story short, what I'm trying to get at is that the girls that she worked with were fly, like just absolutely gorgeous young women, beautiful women. And I mean, we were speaking very young. So like some of them were at varsity, we're speaking 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds, very young women, extremely gorgeous. And yeah, just that was the reason why they even worked at that place. So she, because my cousin was also still relatively young, these chicks were like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We were 22, 23. Like, yeah, because I remember when my cousin was working at that store, that's when I started dating my ex-boyfriend, and I was 22 at the time, right? So they were our peers, but we were slightly older than them because, like I said, some of them were still at varsity starting, yeah, they were still studying at varsity type establishment thing. Yeah, so we were the older ones type thing. Yeah, my cousin made friends with these, some of these girls, and one of them was this chick. Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, like stunning yellow bone, pretty, like just really beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. She was breathtakingly gorgeous, okay? Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And she was working at the store. She became my cousin's friend. I then got introduced to her and also became her friend through my cousin. Very sweet girl, but troubled life. Very, very, very sweet. extremely sweet. Great woman, like sweet. You know, women, especially when you're that gorgeous, when yeah, like you would know, black women, there's like a problem in our community. Okay, there's a lot of attitude, shade passing, and when they get especially exquisite, when they get especially beautiful, the more attitude they give. They don't greet, they look at people like they stank. Like, it's just a problem in the black community. There's a lot of attitude, lots of bad vibes. I don't even like, I like to say that I don't even know how black women successfully actually make friends out of each other, because they so don't like each other from the moment they meet. They're spawning so much, they're playing games, mind games, so much that I don't know how they get to a point where they say, this is my best friend. This is, yeah, anyway. But every so often you find a gem that does not pass you that attitude, that shade, that does not have that reverse psychology, that is not out just scanning everybody up and down and not talking to them, or when you first meet them, they, like, you know, got chewed for days. Yeah, this chick was one of them. She was one of the fresh ones. She was one of the pleasant surprises, you know, like for a woman that beautiful. She was super humble. She was extremely humble. So essentially, she was a really great all-round find, you would imagine, for a man. Now, if that was maybe 1928, she might have been married by an honest man. But I made mention of the fact that, like, for instance, with the Gen Zs, I lamented that there are there's a video that I did where I was lamenting about Gen Z pursuit and them being so young, and them fetishizing an older woman and what have you. And I spoke about how it is that dating a younger man, or being with a younger man, or marrying a younger man, is not necessarily problematic according to the Bible. The issue that's problematic right now is the modern society and how it has been fashioned. Is the way they think. And so because of the way that men have been raised to think in this, like, modern era, in the latter part of the 20th century and the 21st century, there's just a rubbish mindset going on in there, such that it becomes excruciatingly unsafe now for an older woman to be with a younger man, because men are no longer trained up in the patriarchy. That's a whole video that I did. In a patriarchal way of operating, they're no longer chivalrous. They no longer have a vested duty in them to actually care, serve, protect, love, and cater to women. They've got an entitled, sort of kind of experimental mindset where women are concerned. So it's not safe to allow yourself as an older woman to be with a younger man, because of the fact that they're not the same. They don't make them the same anymore. Yeah, that's what I was speaking about. And then, of course, if the man is age appropriate, then you have to enter into yet another an analytics session where you have got to essentially ascertain that you are not dating a big baby, like a massive baby, because this whack culture in which our men are being raised can get uprooted by the individual autonomous decision of the men themselves. They just make a decision to not follow that stupid grain that decimates their futures later on in light of romance, or they somehow miraculously grew up in the right individual family, and so they think well, or they miraculously somehow have the right kinds of friends or ecosystem that is rightly nicely grooming, or they're Christian. Yeah, but those are rare statistics. Those are rare types of ecosystems within which men are trained in how to think. So therefore, as a woman, the best thing you can do for yourself is get born again, because that enables you to meet a man that gets trained by Jesus. Even if you might have started out in a culture that's whack, he gets retrained. The Holy Spirit recalibrates those skills. You get my point. Very well. Yeah, but when you are 22 and yet to get born again, when you are 19 and yet to get born again, like I was 22 at the time, I think that chick was maybe like 19, or 20, like, yeah, 19 or 20. I think she was born in 1987, so like 3 years younger. She was still like 19 years old, like a kid, right? Yeah, this chick starts working for my cousin, with my cousin, at the store where they're working, and she's fresh, good people, like so kind, so humble, so sweet, so gorgeous, so like you would envy her. Okay, that woman was just violently beautiful. Okay, cool beans and bananas. We all start partying together, you know, hanging and whatnot as young people, and she becomes a friend. And because we were all now always in each other's like ecosystems, like I said, okay, so this woman was, what is it that she was, but she had, what do you call this, problems, issues, like family. It was scant. She came from like an environment where it is that it's like there was no mom and there was no dad, almost like she was orphaned and being raised by somewhat of a tactless or a careless aunt or something, like a family member that was not necessarily abusive but very negligent, could not care less what happens. there, you know, like just left to merely exist, fend for yourself, do what you need to do. And now this chick was, okay, I'm not going to get into too much detail about who she is, because then the details are just gonna, there's no need for me to be calling this girl out because she never did anything wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like, she and her siblings had to do all that they could to survive, and this is without the shielding and the protection. Like, you know, like in terms of where it is that they stayed was very far away from where she worked, and the one sibling hustled a place because of basically fat and setting, and the fat and set circumstances is really dangerous. It's volatile. A fat and set is living with a guy without being married. Okay, it was like a whole fat and set thing, and how it is that she was living, I think she was commuting multiple transportations a day from the place where she stayed. Her life was hard. She had a hard family life, and at some point she was even facing, like, not homelessness, I mean that would have been extreme, but just pressure to get out of that environment. Like, somdala manje puma endlini yami, you're older now, get out of my house, you need to start getting out of my house, you need to start getting out of my house. That kind of pressure from where she came. So she did not have very caring family remaining, because mom and dad were scattered. Either they were late, or it was one of those no, like I believe the mom was late, and maybe I think both the mom and dad were late. I stand corrected, I forgot, but it was not a stable environment where she came from. She just they went through high school, and after getting out of high school, it's like it was every man for himself. And so, like I told you, she was 19, right? So she of course went to the mall and looked for a job, and she got hired based on how she looked. She was gorgeous. She was gorgeous. She was exceptionally gorgeous, so she quickly got hired in that space. But she would have been better off in a call center or something. She would have been better. But you see, that's the thing. When you are struggling like that, it's really hard. Like when there are no family members pulling strings for you to get you into a corporate, you know, like proper, guys, like I've been through it. Okay, I've been through it. I told you I've been neglected before, and with family members being able to pull strings for me, call in favors, just choosing not to, and I had to use what little sense and rents that I had to go to public phones, you know, those containers in the Gasi. Go to some public phones and stand on the line holding for a company whose number you got in the workplace on Wednesday, and hope that the amount of money that you have on your person does not exceed a certain amount of money in the tariff. Otherwise, you're gonna have to hang up the phone before they answer, type thing. And then when they do answer, sometimes they might be like, sorry, we've already got enough applications. And when you don't have any experience at all, they will tell you call center jobs available. And then you call and they are like, what experience do you have? I don't have any. Have you been trained? No. Sorry, we want people that have got Joe, it's terrible. It's terrible. I've been through that. So it's very hard to get into corporate South Africa from matric when you don't have somebody pulling strings for you. It's rough. It's super rough. I got in through a learnership program. I went to Wits first. My mom did not pay my fees, so I had to drop out. And so I did not have a degree, and I did not have experience. And here it is that I was just roaming around the streets of this country, hoping that corporates are going to call me. I did not want to work in retail because I wanted somewhere where I would be given a catapult, a springboard to get to where I needed to get. And also I wanted to make enough money to be able to take myself back to school. So it was not an option. I guess, or Levi, work there like permanently. No, get earning what, 5,000 rands a month. What is that gonna I had to find my way into call centers. I had to find my way into corporate, and it was rough. And I got in through a learnership at Liberty Life that paid us an allowance of 3,000 rands, 2,800 actually, yeah, but it was a training for a year that could result in a permanent job that would pay a lot more, you know, once you get made permanent. And from there you could just springboard, and that's what helped me along. That's what started my career essentially. But before I could even get into the learnership program at Liberty Life, I sick phone calls for days. There was a time, and I already explained this, I told the story briefly the other day when I was talking about some girl that I met at some company that I was working for, well, that I was being trained by, that was talking about how it is that when guys cheat on girls, they don't use protection. Yeah, that was a cold calling call center where we had to call. Those were the only ones that were prepared to interview you without any experience. Yeah, where you had to call like an international people to to sell like a cell phone contract that you don't even know how it operates because it's not South African. We had to sell T-Mobile cell phone contracts to European people. And they had so much attitude. They would hang up on you. They would swear. They would wonder where you got our number from. It was terrible. I did not want that. Like, I wanted a call center that I could get into where it is that maybe, like, it's not selling. It's basically administrating policies or something. I finally got in, but it was rough. So what I'm trying to explain is that it was super duper califragilisticexpialidocious tough. It still is likely to this day to get into corporate South Africa straight out of matric if your family don't help you. If your mom doesn't help you, if your cousin doesn't pull a string, if your auntie does not call a CEO from another brother, like you are going to struggle to get in by yourself. You're going to have a really hard time to get in by yourself. And this chick, she eventually got in, but it wasn't even by herself. She had to be helped along. So, you know, like a village, it takes a village to raise a person. But when you abandon a person that is that beautiful, and the village just does not care to take care of them, they're gonna find themselves in hot water. Anyway, whatever. So this chick was better off in corporate South Africa to truly be set free from the grain of nonsense that she was subjugated to the tyranny of by mere virtue of the issue with family. Of being that gorgeous, she was in harm's way if she did not find an independent way out, because men in this 21st century, not all of them, but especially at that age, when we're that young, they are not trying to love and cater and dote over a woman and make sure she's got a shielding, and also, if whatever her ambitions are, help her achieve them. They're just not on that tip. They want her because she's so gorgeous, but they're not going to make an honest woman out of her. And they're not, so it essentially just makes out of you something, something that's going to just get used exploitatively. And if you don't have the mind to protect yourself as a beautiful young woman from that is, however, largely unfamilied from predators, you are going to just get devoured. You are going to get devoured. Okay, and this chick could not get into corporate South Africa. So her first shot was retail, and it caught, I guess, my cousin hired her, or maybe my cousin found her working there already when she started working at that joint. I think my cousin hired her, rather. She's working now at that place, and she's got some kind of a salary, so it's okay. She's cool. She's working, but she needs to be somewhere better. Like, she needs to go somewhere else to truly establish solidness, because she needed help, for crying out loud. Like, she had to get out of the grain. She was still stuck in a grain, and a horrible one. Anyway, but she's beautiful. Now, we're dealing with a gorgeous woman here, okay? That chick, guys, because I just explained to you her situation, and also her beauty, and her humility, her kindness, her sweetness, kinds of things that men love, you know? When she's a sweet little Hlongwane too, she's not feisty. We're not one of those talkative ones, but the opinions. Yeah, they love them that way, but they're not chivalrous enough to take care of a woman like that. It's what I'm getting at. Okay. Anyway, yeah, dudes, this chick, Shem, you know, when I met her, she was single, and I longed that she would meet a guy. You know, when you are still in the world, you don't really look at things in terms of marriage yet. You don't making an honest woman out of somebody, especially when you're just 19, you don't think that way, because you're in the world, you're carnal, you think you still have to grow and you're too young to get married, blah blah. That's how worldly people think. But if you can get a solid boyfriend that's really gonna take care of you, you'll be okay. And I wanted her to date someone that was gonna really love her, you know, like really love her, like take care of her, pick her up from work, drop her off in the mornings, and give her everything that she needed. Do you understand? Make sure that auntie doesn't give her too much grief. Like, just for like a couple of years until she is somewhat set. Like a dude that would make imedi out of her. Like, take care of her. I knew of a woman, like when I was working at the call center, this time called Teleshore, as a claims consultant, there was a woman there, a chick there that I worked with that had a boyfriend like that. Like, she was taken care of, and I remember she was very heavily pregnant at some point. She had a boyfriend that would drop her off, pick her up, and basically he was always at a beck and call. Every time she needed something, she would call him, and he would be like there like a bear. I wanted that chick to have a boyfriend like that. Somebody that would pretty much play husband temporarily, but like not without being married. We're in the world, right? So we're not thinking fornication is wrong or anything of that nature, but a dude that is honest and responsible enough to take care of a chick that's struggling, that comes from a strange background. But you see, the thing about that chick from the company, from Teleshore, where I used to work as a claims consultant, she had a strong, solid family that loved her. She didn't need that guy to be at her beck and call. She did not need him to pick her up and drop her off because she had daddy. So that dude was just basically being He was like a supplement to the family. He was a good people's. He was a good guy to the girl. However, if he dropped the ball, like, she would be hurt because boyfriend hurt me. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like, she would not be destitute. She wouldn't be out on a limb. She would not be suffering. It appears these guys, and from what I made a personal observation of, they want to find women. The only reason, that they feel they have to respect women and love them is if they are already respected and loved. It's if they come from a strong family that loves them, that cares for them. If they, either both parents are around, or a very financially strong single mom that's got the back, and she's got all these cousins that have her back, and yeah, basically like a strong, solid family, like Medea's family reunion type setup thing. It's like men look at women. In my country, I can speak for that. I can't speak for everywhere else. When they come from a background like that, when the dude, upon meeting this woman, can find a whole strong family behind her, he behaves himself. He behaves himself. They behave themselves because of her strength of backing. Because by Azugutilana, if they drop the ball, she might cry because it hurts to get hurt by your man, but she'll live. She'll be fine. And some other dude will also treat her well. Some other dude will also regard her, will not just merely treat her like rubbish. But when a woman, like, it's all the stuff that I've been speaking about with clout chasing. All the stuff that I've been lamenting about with clout chasing. Clout chasing. These people who chase clout, who regard a person's value based on what their families look like, or what stats are you going to add to me. So the person's character is of no essence. The value of the woman is of no essence. I told you that chick, she was rare because of the fact that black girls can give you attitude, yo. They can. But she was one of the fresh ones that will smile at you, talk well with you, never pass you shade, no attitude, like basically a gem. Diamond in the rough. Full package. Mousse at top of that. Doesn't give all that energy. Doesn't have that ugly energy, that ugly attitude. You would imagine a man would like bust, like sprint, even breaking his teeth to walk her down the aisle. Ashesha, quick, to take out the ball, like, because a chick that is all around this black girls, they will out just smile at their boyfriends and men. Ah, John and Johnny, oh, terrible. And then go, like straight face, like, like, Chicky out here pulling like a mean-spirited face with women. And then men come into the room, oh, Johnny, Tippy, so, yeah. And then women, it's like, whoa. Why you gotta be so mean to some females? Like, what's wrong with you? So when a woman is all around just good peoples with everybody, that's the kind of woman that a man does not have to, like, basically be afraid that he's dealing with a duplicitous rando diva. She's not a diva. She's warm, dog. Like, she's warm. She's not gonna give your mom shade or pass your sister's shade, or she's warm. Barre in the black community, barre. Y'all know that's true. Black chicks got attitude for days. Okay, that chick was one of them. You would imagine a man, like I said, would break his teeth to walk that down the aisle real fast and real furious. Real fast and real furious. But the way she was so underestimated, her value as a woman, the way it was just so disregarded, guys, because of where she came from. Literally, like, proper, the whole Cinderella phenomenon, underestimating umuntu because like, oh, like, family, it does not seem like it, when people have made what do you call this? When people have made a decision that somebody's value is absent, and then the whole world makes a decision that that person has no value, even though that person has displayed time and time again before the ecosystems where they frequent that they are worthy of being valued. Yeah, this chick was worthy. She was worthy by worldly standards, of course, because she was not born again. She wasn't a Christian, but she was an all-rounder great girl. Like, she never, like, out of all, like, I've been bewitched by so many former friends. This chick never touched me. Like, y'all need to understand, like, that's the kind of virtue that we were dealing with there. She never dabbled with witchcraft, even though her life was so hard. Yeah, anyway, one of them good ones, one of those that you really want to take home to mom type thing. Anyhow, so here it is that we are this chick. I've explained those stats to you. The way that men treated her, guys. First of all, I told you I longed for her to get a boyfriend, right? And one that was really gonna love her. I remember one time we went to my boyfriend's at the time, my boyfriend's friend's restaurant for, I think it was my birthday, and we were all there, and then one of my boyfriend's boys came. One of my boyfriend's friends came, and this chick was beautiful. Like, she just stuck out, like she was impossible not to be shelled by somebody there. Okay, like, yeah. So there was no way that a whole bunch of dudes would come and not one of them or 5 of them would like try and call dibs on that, right? This dude rocks up at this dinner and decides that he likes her. And I had heard the stories of this guy from my ex-boyfriend, right? Well, my boyfriend at the time. And I knew that he was a bit of a player, and I was concerned about that. I was concerned. This chick, however, was struggling a lot. She was struggling and she needed a guy that was solid in his career and had whatnot. And I imagine that every so often it's possible for a dude to, for a man to get his act together because he's fallen in love. And the way that I had such a high opinion of this woman, I imagined that that bugger would not just meet her, like her, and then just ditch her. Like, I imagined that he was gonna stick around. I imagined that he was not going to act a fool. So when he pursued her, even though I had apprehension because I knew his rap sheet from what my ex was speaking, I thought that maybe this time around Uzo Tulisega, this guy, is going to like be tranquil with her, or at least make her made. You know, the way that we think as black women, as women, like proper settling for being a main chick instead of just the only one at all. Like, just insofar as you can say ngiyimedi or nirechte or sharp, because this dude has made you the main thing while everybody else is a side piece. So that gives you a pedestal state. I have survived that dating cesspool. I have escaped, hallelujah. Let's just say that, all right? Anyway, whatever. I thought that maybe this dude would make out of her image because, like I said, I had a very high opinion of her, and I imagined she was rare. This dude, like, takes my friend on our friend on one yana date, this chick, because you see, that's just the thing. When your sense of self-worth has been so eroded away at that you can't even pick up when a dude is obviously just trying to get something from you and then move on. And also when you are suffering so much that you don't want to lose a guy, sometimes you just allow yourself to have sex with him really quickly after you start dating. And she slept with him really quickly, and he one night stood her, guys. Yes, yo, it was just so terrible. The one night stand, he stopped taking her calls. Like, he slept with her and then just ditched her on some, I'm done here. Yo, as he, guys, like, you know, like, when you can just drive by, shoot such a beautiful woman. I can never understand that. Just drive by. Umfazi almost like angaka, and a woman that also has so much character. Just drive by. And you're done. Shem. You are spoiled, Shem, for choice. You must be spoiled for choice. Like, you know, clothes that a mom would buy for a child to wear just for Christmas. And then after that, you're done. Like, when you've got the luxury of Shem, you must have some options, baga. You must have options. Where are you gonna find another person like this? Yeah, apparently there's more where they came from. It is these kinds of men that I'm trying to explain to you guys are teaming at the faults around women like me. They are not trying to make an honest woman out of a really great girl. But for no Jewish, they want to wear something for Easter or for Christmas or for New Year's when the firecrackers are being lit. Thereafter, the outfit gets put away, go dropo, because it's just too legit to be worn again and again. Or like plates that are on display that are there to decorate room divider ya gogo. But you don't eat out of those plates except for on Christmas or on Easter. If you dare get found with that plate on some random Tuesday, you gonna hear and probably even feel the belt of grandmother on your behind, because how dare you use this crockery for some random Tuesday. This is for Easter, this is for Christmas. This is the kind of stuff that we dust off at special occasions. That is to Jewish with stuff. Yeah. And every so odd, like these exploitative men, they look at some of the most beautiful, rare, awesome women on the earth as things with which to uku Jewisha. Something that you went to feel like just no Christmas, especially beg. Oh goodness. Guys, it's written in God's word that love your wives, husbands, the way that Christ loved the church, because the Lord knows just how important love is to a woman. And when you are that valuable as a woman, and some bugger out to be rocking you as Christmas shoes only, and thereafter just ditch you, even though you are so high value that you'll be the tantamount of a plate in grandmother's room divide that can only be used on Christmas. That's your value, truly. It's so valuable that it gets used once a year. But like this dude drive-bys it, making that plate feel like it's worthless, like it's just another ceramic plate, that it's just another aluminum cup, that it's just another little mokotinje fella within which you eat umtogo, within which you eat porridge every single morning. It's got scratches and don't nobody care. Really and truly, you can't wash it enough because it still looks dirty even when it's clean. When a guy treats you like that, when you're that rare, you will have yourself be eroded away at over time. Women lose their value over time because of being squandered by men like these when they don't quickly find out what to avoid and how to self-protect against exploitative sharks that will try and pounce on them precisely because they make an observation of the high value that is in this woman. However, the disregard of her person by society, and due to them chasing clout, they will then not make out of her something honest. They won't make her a steady thing that remains. They will not take care of her. They will not dote over her. They will not make sure that she is protected and covered. They will just squander her. They will just expand her, use her, and move on. That is the unfortunate tale of glorious, beautiful, poor women. Poor, glorious women. If they do not quickly get married off to men that seriously take them, in spite of having been so not seriously taken by so many other men, they will constantly get used for their good looks until they are worn out, until they have no more glory to give. In other words, they are aging. In other words, they are no longer fertile. That's when they get squandered. When they look back, they've got such a high body count of men that they've slept with, because that's what they've always wanted out of them. There's no way I'm gonna marry that. For what? My goodness. She is an awesome woman, but they're chasing clout, and she does not have any. It's the 21st century. Men are like that, unfortunately. Not all of them, but a lot of men are not made the way that they used to be made. They don't come with that original packaging of back in the day, where it is that it was just part and parcel dwelt inside the character of men to understand that women are to be protected, shielded, catered to, provided for, and sheltered. Like, yeah, they just, like, yeah, 21st century men, it's about 2 Timothy 3, lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud. If you're that boastful, and if you're that proud, and if you love money that much, and if you love yourself that much, there's no way you're gonna settle, because it's called settling, which is actually not, because it's an upgrade. Partner, let me upgrade ya. There's no way that you're gonna settle for a woman that is not going to up your statistics. So they get passed up like no man's business, even though they're really great girls. But they also get harassed later on by men who marry women for clout, and then they look back and remember there was a woman that was actually the full package, just a poor one that nobody regarded. They feel like these women are going to plunge their statistics until the woman that they married that had clout, what do you call this? Until the woman that they married that had clout frustrates them. A typical example actually of what happens with how it is that these men treat women that they imagine don't have clout. Remember Tsegofatsopule, the woman that was murdered by her lover Ntutugo Shoba, through a contract assassin. She was 8 months pregnant when she was murdered. She was stabbed and then hung on a tree to be found by people the next morning. Tsegofatso was killed because she was the side piece. She was expandable according to this dude, but she didn't carry the clout that he wanted in a wife. But because he was busy sleeping with her, he somehow, he landed upon her, and oopsie, she's pregnant. She fell pregnant. He impregnated a side piece he was not intending on making an honest woman. And this woman threatened, essentially, upon being as pregnant as she is, the relationship with the woman that had clout. The woman that this dude was going to go and magnify his statistics using. Do you understand what I'm saying? The clout-having woman was, of course, blind to this understanding that her man was never mind cheating on her, but actively planning an assassination. That's just how much clout chasing these people are in. Like, he assassinated his future baby mama because she was pregnant, and if at all his main chick that he was engaged to, because we all know that Ntutugo Shoba was engaged to another woman to be married. He knew that if that woman with whom he was about to get married found out that Tsegofatso was 8 months pregnant, that she was likely going to just leave him. So he decided that uzombulal. He just decided that he's gonna kill her. Like, they look at us women that have no clout like things to just swat out the way, just move it out the way in favor of those that do have clout, right? Hebatum, guys, move it out the way to a point of being prepared. You are going to plunge my stats, because how dare you fall pregnant?
How dare you fall pregnant? He killed her for clout. He killed her to maintain clout. He killed her to maintain a lifestyle that he was pushing. It's like he was so shallow that he could not regard the value or the sanctity of a human life, including the one that was inside his baby mama's stomach. And he just murdered her because she was standing in the way of his, you know, like him looking really great as a dude who's about to marry a really great girl. And on the day that he was arrested, when he was arrested, upon being questioned by the police, he said to them, "How long are you going to hold me for? I have got to go to work. I've got to go to work. I've got to go to work. If I am absent from my company for a couple of days, they're going to fire me. So I have to go to work. You're holding me here. And I have to," like, he was so deluded. He was so trying to chase a life of clout that he couldn't, like, he didn't even gauge the dire or the seriousness of the situation, to a point where, upon being held by the police in custody due to him being a suspect, he then was like, "How many days are you going to keep me here? Because I have to go to work. My boss is going to fire me." You are a suspect in a homicide and you are trying to go to the office. All I could think about was, aren't you even concerned what your colleagues are going to think now that stories are ruminating in the media about you having killed your baby mama through an assassin, a contract assassin? That wasn't Tutugo show, but that is just how dire the straits of this clout chasing is. It creates a delusion in the people partaking in it, such that they can't even see the seriousness of a situation where it is that you are squandering, squashing underneath your thumb an entire human life in order to push your clout. And that's what happened with this chick back in the day, right? Yeah, she was just used as a once-off vaslapa, even though she was high value, because this dude was not trying to make an honest woman out of somebody. What's your story exactly? Who's your mom? Where do you come from? You're one of those struggling ones, Muhle. And so for those reasons, you're pretty. And so for those reasons, I'll hit that, but I'm not staying here. It ain't got no clout for me. She endured that for the next coming years. Just on a, like, wire, constantly. Every dude that she would meet would do this to her. Every dude that she would meet would do this to her. She was a high value woman that was ignored and disregarded for that value because of the fact that she had no clout. And the only time that she finally ended up with somebody that stuck around, and he was a total jerk, by the way, like just exactly what I was talking about. The other dude, I was like, he's a player, but if he takes her seriously, at least the way that this woman needed help, a lot of us settled for that. Some rando that at least stuck around. The only reason why he stuck around, listen to this, right? My cousin ended up, after like a year or two or whatever, moving from that job, and then she got a job at another company, and she organized for her. That's why I said, in order to get into corporate South Africa, no, anyway, corporate in Jefela, somebody gotta call in a favor for you. Somebody gotta call in a favor for you. My cousin was called in a favor for by my mom, and that's how she got that job. She found herself back in corporate again, and then after my cousin found herself in that job, she then organized for that chick to get a job there too. There were there was another girl that was also like that. Also gorgeous, beautiful. Marayana, she also was a sweet woman, right? She was not with attitude and whatnot, one of the rare ones. She ended up using witchcraft against me, so I have no respect for people who sang witchcraft. I changed my mind against them. But back then, she was good people's. She was also very beautiful, great body, everything. Just felt like just going for her. Yena Maranana le boyfriend from high school, right? She was dating some dude with whom she was with from high school, and he was just a no-brainer that did not make sense for her, and we all wanted her to leave him. They were together for a very long amount of time, and because of situation A, Abona is Nax, they were cheating on each other. Like, it was just ridiculous what was going on in that relationship. But this chick was so gorgeous, she was so beautiful, and hey, or like, my mom liked her so much. She was gorgeous, she was beautiful. And what is this? Like, she was very domesticated. Like, she was like at Bryce, she was all up in that pap making game, y'all. Like, she was all up in, she was cleaning, like, very domesticated. Like, she was always just cleaning. And it didn't matter if guys were there or it was girls. She was always very domestic. Like, you know, she was just such a beautiful, like, little domestic queen. Yeah. Kind of woman that a dude would just want to go and make honest. We wanted this chick to leave that other rando with whom the two of them were just in a very turbulent relationship since high school. Yeah. And she would then go on right ahead to get used as well, in a way that I observed, like, by so many dudes that refused to stick around because Lena, she struggled with family. There was no proper solid backing foundation. And so guys just threw her away, even though she deserved so much more. She deserved so much more. She was a combination. She was beautiful facially, great body, everything. was going for that girl, coupled with the fact that she was a little domestic queen. Nadulanza soka di papa. Like that chick was just hectic, okay? And guys just used her and used her and used her. And that would be the status quo with that chick all the way up until I guess I stopped being friends with any of those randos. That's what's good. Yeah, she had a bad rap all the way up until the end of our relationship, with my relationship with everyone. But the other one, got into the one that I have been speaking about at length right now. She got into a situation with a dude. She got an opportunity, to work at the company where my cousin had also moved, and my cousin hooked her up. And because of how my cousin had hooked her up, she was better now. In other words, she had more support, more respect, that even though she didn't have family to have her back, she had my cousin and all of us. It's like that job that she worked at that retail store, and the friendships that she would muster from that time going forward gave her some semblance of protection. So it evidenced that a woman does not have necessarily to have a strong mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandmother, biological environment for society to respect her as clout heavy. She just has to have a strong support network of people that treat her like family. So it could be friends that essentially take you in, that make all the difference. And it made all the difference. It literally made all the difference. When this chick got helped along by us, by my mom, by my cousin, men stopped looking at her like something to just hit and quit. So when she started working at this company, she was she was so fly that every guy was breaking their teeth on some, who's that dude, who's that chick that works where, who's that, right? And one of the people that was like Hubani was some dude that had some pretty awesome job in that joint, and he ended up losing it, blah blah. It's like a whole story, that situation. But anyway, whatever. She regarded him. He pursued her. She dated him. He was a player for days, but he made a decision. And back then, that was apparently allegedly enough. When you are a rechte, that's enough. When you are the main chick, that's enough. He was playing her like no man's business, but he was serious about her. He moved her into an apartment that they were staying in, not far from the company where they worked. So she got out finally from from the house where it is that she was given grief, where she was staying. He set her up, but then he lost his own job because of some strange stuff he was doing. And then she fell pregnant, blah blah, like a whole whatever. Look, I believe she's married to that dude today. The only reason why I believe that is because she asked friendship. She sent me a friendship request on Facebook about 2 years ago, and her surname had changed to that of that dude. Okay, so I accepted her friendship request and realized that, oh, she married that jerk. I thought he was a jerk because he was cheating heavy. But unlike the hit it and quit it situation, it was one step up, even though the dude did not make any sense at all. And like I said, the thing that made the difference in the man's pursuit and decision to stick around, to love her, to introduce her to his mom, to take her among his people, to put her in a house and ascertain that she is catered to, was support. She gained support from us, from the world around her. They loved her until she had so much shielding that dudes stopped just taking her for granted. They stopped just taking her for granted. So I mean, in a society that fickle, where men are that fickle, where they make a decision to love a woman only because everybody else yamtanda, when you are an unloved woman, you've got to see that for what it is. You have got to put a litmus paper out in the wilderness to test the climate, and therefore shield yourself from being used in gati vasla banje for the day, like the kinds that you get at hotels. You use it once and you throw it away. If you don't want to be used like sanitary towels, a tampon, use once and throw away, flash, you will recognize your culture for what it is. You will see your country for what it is. You will spot it for what it is. You will realize that you are better off being an ugly girl where if you have no family, because then you are unlikely going to get exploited by men because of your lack of looks. Because if you're beautiful, you are going to have the ugly girl experience, just however first with people drive-by shooting you. They are going to roll around in your environment and get out. They are going to hit it and quit it. They are going to make out of you a bullseye to toss, even if your character is sweet. I made those observations of those two girls. Great women, marriable, good quality, and yet with a namby-pamby culture of modern day men making a decision that they're not worth the while to make honest, and so hitting it and quitting it. I then made an observation of one of them finally being given support, and upon gaining support, a man finally took all that glory and saw it for what it is, and made an honest woman eventually out of her. First he impregnated, that's just the chronology of things in this world. First impregnation, and then marriage type setup thing. But she ended up married to him, and that whole situation happened precisely because of the fact that when he came into the picture, she had a hedge of protection around her coming from us. She had a hedge of protection around her coming from us. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same type setup thing. I personally have endured a similar situation where a dude tried to hit it and quit it. When I was 2021, yeah, and I was working at the call center, go Telesure. But you see, I was a call center agent. I was not necessarily without family or anything like that. But I was a call center agent trying to climb my way back up again. I was trying to take myself back to school to finish my degree. And I met a guy, go Melville, in one of these like clubs there on 7th Avenue. And cute dude, you know, and everything. He liked me in the club, pursued me, and I gave him my number. He called me. And the first date was so romantic. The first date was so cute. Like, he took me to one of those, you know, is it like a burrito or wrap hot dog stand just like outside of the office, and he bought me that, and we sat next to his car almost like in a picnicky situation, but on the pavement, and just ate and like chatted during his lunch. I worked at Telesure in Auckland Park, and he worked at KPMG. He was a graduate from Wits University, honors, going back to study, and he was on a professional track, a professional C8 track, chartered accounting track. He was still very young, like 23. I was 20, 21, right? So he was basically a newbie, like an intern, but facing a great future. Like, he was going to be something very successful one day. Like I told you, he was on a C8 track, a chartered accountant track. Yeah. And this was the kind of dude that, if at all I was at Wits, if I was still studying at Wits, he would have taken me seriously because he liked me a lot. It was clear. He would have taken me seriously because his girlfriend is studying and she's going to graduate and one day also work for PricewaterhouseCoopers or KPMG or one of these firms, and the two of us are going to be basically a power couple. But when he got to finally know me, when he gauged the statistics of who I truly am, right? Yeah, he then started to make a decision. I can't make this chick a serious woman. Why? Because usebenza at call center, she's like some claims consultant. What am I going to do with that? I am on a C8 track. I am a chartered accountant in the making. And I work with other young women in my company that are also on the C8 track. They are graduates from university. What am I going to do with the woman that's not studying? What am I going to do with the person that's not studying? What am I going to do? I was going to take myself back to school. If at all that dude has sat around to listen to me longer than just that first date, he would have realized that what he imagined he had found that night was right. He would have seen that I was right for him. Anyway, yeah, the second date, the first one was that cute little date where he came to pick me up for lunch at my offices. We worked not far from each other, yeah, and we had that luncheon from like that hot dog / burrito wrap stand, whatnot, and it was all cute, you know. It was very, very content, like it was city girl, man. It was giving Sarah Jessica Parker in Sex and the City. I don't know, it was cute. Like, it was just such a cute first date. Anyway, whatever, cool. Yeah, the second date, you are not gonna believe it. The dude calls me at night, and I'm expecting that maybe we're gonna go out, since we met in the clubbing scene. I thought maybe we're gonna go to like 7th Avenue, dance, and then he'll take me back home. But he drives me to his apartment, and I'm like, okay, picks me up at home, drives me to his apartment, and I get there confused, because you picked me up at my mother's house, like, and I didn't even eat, and I didn't even know that we're coming to your place. You just brought me here. Why am I at your apartment? We get to his apartment, and I sit there, and I'm thinking maybe he's gonna cook. No food, no pizza, nothing. And the dude starts trying to like pounce on me and kiss me and what have you, without us even talking. Completely different 180 dude from the one that I had lunch with. That was such a good guy. That was telling me all of these stories of his past. And now he is just trying to hit that. And he wasn't even drunk. He wasn't high. He was sober. He made a decision that, oh, no, I'm gonna have sex with her and I need to get it over and done with because I'm not sticking around because she's not in my league. He made a decision I was not in his league. He would have probably been Like he would have lost his mind if he had met me just a few years later. If I had bumped into that guy just a few years later, because I would go on from that point to essentially violate the corporate ladder. I grew so fast that within the next 3 years, I was essentially in his league and maybe then some. He would have looked at me like he was going, he would have melted and bombed on the spot if he had met me just 3 years later. Because like I said, I had skyrocketed. If he had just waited, if he had just, the two of us, he would have seen. Yeah, he would have seen who he was dating. He would not have underestimated this woman. I ended up going back to school part-time the next year. The very next year of meeting him, I took myself back to school. I registered again at Wits. And then my career just skyrocketed. And if he had seen me 3 years later, he was going to cry. And the reason I say he was going to cry was because not only did I succeed in my career, but clout too. I gained it like a lot. Plus, I'm beautiful. That's why he liked me. He liked my physical appearance. But you see, that's the thing. When you are physically attractive, that's all that they're trying to gun for. This dude made a decision. Or he was blessed by not bumping into me again. Because if he had bumped into me again, I was going to guara him. I was going to pocha him. I was going to tell him where to get off. I was not going to allow him to date me. I was not going to let him take my number and this time try to take me seriously. He became lucky that he never saw me again. He became super duper lucky, given that I was always in the Auckland Park area, in the general vicinity of the company where he worked. Type establishment thing. If he had seen me again, Megas was lying. He was going to go crazy. He spoke too soon. That's what I'm getting at. He acted too soon. Takes me to his apartment, pounces on me like a beast, trying to kiss me, and I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? I don't want to do this. I'm not ready. Like, what's up with that? And guess what he said? He was like, well, if you don't want us to do this, I mean, I guess there's no point for you to be here. He properly said that, guys, with that shrug and that side, like, you know, profile on some, I guess there's no point for you to be here. He said to me, if you don't want to do this, in other words, if you don't want to make out with me and then maybe even end up in the bedroom, what's the point of you being here? You picked me up at my mom's house to basically have sex with me and then, why? Because ngisebenza call center. Because I'm working at the call center. I'm a claims consultant and you are on a chartered accountant track at KPMG. And that's why you want to hit it and quit it. I knew immediately that that was what was going on with that guy's mindset. I was like, well, I mean, okay, cool then, dude. Since I please take me home. Thankfully, he was decent enough to, after driving all the way to Florida, where I used to stay, drive right back again to Florida. Because he used to live in, was it Norwood? He stayed in Norwood. Yeah, drove all the way back to Florida to drop me off at home. So thankfully, he didn't just dish me on the streets to like gather dust. He took me back home. And the drive back was very awkward. It was very awkward. It was quiet and odd. And I was looking out the window. I wasn't even emotional. I was just like, I dodged a bullet. I had not caught such strong feelings for him that I would imagine that this here is a severity of a loss. But I remember just thinking, I dodged a bullet. I did. If I was like my friend, that one that I just described now, and you know, just let myself, because of having been chipped away at inside in my self-esteem, slept with a dude, I would have been hit and quit. And I've never been hit and quit, like, ever in my life. So that would have been like a new little experience that I'm hopping into on some, hey, so this is what a one-night stand feels like, where a dude does not call you again the next day or even remember your name. He would have given me a one-night stand experience when we would have had such a beautiful lunch. Just 2 days prior to that, he made a decision, this guy, that I did not have sufficient clout, but I was beautiful enough for him to peruse my nether regions. And he rudely picked me up from my mother's house, drove me to his apartment, tried to kiss me. I reject him, and then he tells me, I guess there's no point for you to be here. And then he drives me back home in a very awkward drive back. Etwutzing. Very silent. Yeah, that is the South Africa that I have been making observations of. Once I gained clout, only then were men trying to love me. Do you understand? All the way down the aisle. When I was working at MTN, I got slapped by, I don't know, because I had all that clout. I had these stats that these dudes were like, yo, if I were to, chat to Karabo, she's this and that, and what about a fish paste, and she's going to look really good next to me, and she's like this program manager, blah, blah, yeah, oh, wow, okay. So I got slapped quite a lot of it, like once my ex and I broke up, I got hit with lots and lots of Korobela, like a lot, like colleagues. On some, you're gonna be mine, I'm going to marry you, got all of these dreams, but by then I was already born again. I had clout. Before I lost everything, I had the clout that men would imagine, this is my woman. I was like headed for big things, and I was going to be now made an honest woman by some pretty dastardly men that would under normal circumstances, grab a woman that does not have much and just pick her up at her mom's house, take her to his apartment to have sex, and then just drop her off again. But the same woman, 3 years down the line, he would take to mom. The same woman, 3 years down the line, he would introduce to his friends, his sisters. The same woman, 3 years down the line, he would go ring shopping to propose marriage. The same woman, 3 years down the line, he would take out ilobola. Why? Because she got clout. She got the degree, or she is working a really big job, or she is a YouTuber with 400,000 subscribers, which is what it is that I'm facing right now. A woman that has got nobody looking at her on social media. If I were to gain 30,000 subscribers in the next 4 months, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of men that have watched my videos all this time in all of my poverty while I'm gaining 5 new subscribers a week would start DMing me, blowing up my phone like no man's business. On some, hey girl, I love your ministry, trying to see if he can't get with someone that he found on the internet. Clout is the only difference. It's not like they can't make an observation of the value or the quality of a woman. It's that when she does not, when she's not backed up by, you know, certain statistics, she ain't with my time, dog. She's not with my time, dog. This one, she's gonna plunge my stats. And I've had that problem. Where does that kind of dream where the Lord has shown me some dude saying, I can't be with a woman. Whoa, as if though I want anything to do with you. You're like the dude from KPMG. Yeah. A man that would have been like, whoa, Karabo, I recognize, girl, so what are you doing now? And then next thing he's trying to be all up in my grill, making like a tsetse fly, just flying around all over my ear. When he was trying to hit it and quit it at some point, but now he's trying to see if he can't be with me for 6 months and then pay lobol. Same woman, different stats. Same woman, different stats. Like it happened with that chick from the retail store that used to work with my cousin. As soon as she gained some kind of, her stats changed a little bit and she was supported and she had a 9-to-5 job in a corporate. All of a sudden, a guy was prepared to make an honest woman out of her. But before then, she was just used as a vaslapa. That is, you could throw away nje. Afterwards, she was used like a tampon. Use it once and you're done for. Flush it down the toilet. Yeah. But then as soon as she gained clout, she was loved and respected. Do you not imagine that what has happened these past couple of years that I've been suffering like this was God's plan? To protect me from clout chasing men. Do you not think that the Lord has kept me poverty stricken for the purpose of eradicating clout chasing men? Men that will take me on a sweet first date where we're out here eating some burritos in front of a car looking like we're picnicking in Melville. And then next thing, pick me up at night, at my mom's house. I'm thinking we're going Melville dancing again since we're young. So why not paint the town red, the night red? But now we're not dancing. We're going somewhere to essentially smash, only for me to be taken back home and not called again. And upon rejecting such an advance as that, I was literally vocally spoken to, told by the words of said man as that I mean, what's the point of you being here if you're not prepared to do this? He said it with his own words, that if you are not prepared to have sex with me tonight, you might as well go home. And then he, at least decently, cordially, at a minimum, I will give that much to him, he drove me back home. He drove me back home. Yeah. Guys, y'all need to understand that. Anyway, women, you must protect yourselves. When you are beautiful, there will always, if you're suffering, be somebody prepared to squander that beauty, expand it, use it, you know, stretch it like elastic, see what he can do with it. Essentially loot you, plunder you, like use you for spare parts, use your nether regions, your breasts, but not the fullness of who you are. If you are beautiful, somebody will always be prepared to plunder you. There is something to take. You will be booty. Do you understand what I'm saying? For the salvaging. Like after war, taking plunder, taking booty. Yeah, please don't imagine me speaking that other nasty word. I'm speaking about the word that speaks for plunder. Yeah, you will be plunder after war. A man will salvage you. That way, they will purge on your body because of what is your barren ecosystem. So when you are still suffering in this 21st century, unfortunately, men are not as chivalrous as they used to be. You cannot not be that guarded. Not now. There was a time when damsels in distress were chivalrously adored by men, but we're not living in that. We're living in 2 Timothy 3 days, where men are lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, narcissistic, like no man's business, clout chasing, enough to go and kill Tsehofatsopule, because the woman that has clout would dump him if he found out that he's got an 8-month pregnant side piece. They killed, that dude killed his side piece to maintain clout, to a point of telling the police, when am I going home? Because I need to go to my job. I'm gonna get fired. No regard, even in the slightest, for the sanctity of human life. That is the 21st century that we're living in. Because of an increase in lawlessness, the love of many grows cold. And when you're dealing with that level of crazy, You gotta protect yourself from exploitation as a woman. You cannot let yourself be squandered and be used as spare parts. When you are en route somewhere, you are going somewhere. God is doing something. He is chiseling you, he's refining you. A crucible for silver, a furnace for gold. The Lord tests the heart. A testing season is hard. So you will be a little bit grubby, you know. Maybe you might have a chubaba that a dermatologist can get rid of in due season. You might have some acne because you don't have the right skincare. You might gain a little bit of weight because you're stressed, or even lose too much. You might, put on some cellulite around certain parts of your body because you're eating too much sugar now from stress, too much salt. But that's all stuff that you can deal with in the gymnasium when you are fine again, when the sun starts rising in your life. So during the season, when people are making an observation of the beauty that you have, however, with no support around you, you gotta be self-protecting. You have got to individually make a unique decision yourself to not allow a man to drive you to his apartment, to have sex with you, and then drop you off at home, burping, wiping with a napkin the size of his mouth after just having you. You have to make the decision I made. Look at a dude out there trying to pounce on you on a couch that had taken you initially on a very cute romantic first date and be like, but why are you trying to kiss me? And then he will come out with the truth and the reality of the fact that, what am I going to do here? With you just sitting here having a conversation about what? Data? About what? Work? About school? I'm not trying to do that. I want to have sex and you don't want to do it, so go home. He will at least come out and be honest. Thank God he wasn't a rapist. He didn't take what he wanted anyway. He was decent enough even to drive me back home. But I was wise enough to realize that here I'm not going to be hit and quit by somebody that made a decision that, seeing as he is on a chartered accountant track at KPMG and I'm just a call center at Telesure, at Hotline Insurance, that I am not in his league. He made that decision prematurely. Like I said, if he had seen me 3 years later, he would have probably died. But I was salvaged. I was protected from ending up scraps, burped by a man or Jewising into somebody beautiful that had a future that was guaranteed. But he spoke too soon, or he acted too soon. He decided too soon. He basically abandoned his manhood at the door and refused to do that which men are supposed to do. Love a woman, cater to her, adore her. If she is a good thing, if she is with virtue and character, hold fast to her, because hey, it's hard in these streets. It's a jungle out there. If you find a woman that has character, just basic character, and she's beautiful on top of that, understand they don't come just pouring out of a box like what a lot I got and getting a smarties. They are few and far between. They are rare. So if a man finds a woman with good character, hold on to her. You don't know what in the world she's going to become in 5 years, in 2 years. She's a flower that's going to blossom, do you understand, in your grill, and she's got character. But these slay queens, these Jezebels, man, how copiously scattered all over these streets they are. They are strewn all over the show. They have got personalized number plates speaking about how it is that they dibova, diboso, tsa chelete. They are, they underestimate men, undermine them when they don't have much. They would never be ride-or-die with a dude that's struggling. A dude that is still trying to, find his feet. They would never stay with a guy like that. Women like these are all over the show, and they're the ones that tend to have clout 24 hours a day. And these guys are prepared to go and pay amalobola for them, only for them to come back and try and bother Tina. They were of great value. When now they are divorcees or maybe HIV positive, have 4 different baby mamas and all that jazz. It's like, but like, I met you when I was just 21 and you were working at KPMG and you underestimated me because I was a call center agent. And now with your 4 different kids by 4 different baby mamas and 2 ex-wives, you now want to see if we can't talk. Especially considering I'm still struggling in a way that I was struggling back then, but this time around from a vantage point where you have seen that cloud chasing, it doesn't work. These women that you go and gun for in the name of clout, they are so taxing. They're so rottenness in the bones of men. They're so destructive to the mission and the focus of men that now he doesn't care anymore that you don't have clout, but by then his stats are whack while yours are still pure. That's what's going on with me. That's what's going on. Let's move to the next part.